Hello and welcome to this afternoon's assembly. I really hope you enjoyed the trailer for the film Free Solo, which was a 2017 film which really explored Alex Hanaud's journey as he contemplated and then realised his ascent of El Capitan, which is probably one of the most famous, if not the most famous rock face on Earth. It's situated in the Yosemite National Park in California, and it attracts rock climbers from all around the world. Alex is the first person to have climbed this rock face without using any ropes. And bear in mind, it's over 3,000 feet, and it took him 3 hours and 56 minutes to achieve his ascent. And it does seem like a remarkably dangerous thing to do. And of course, it is pretty much the most dangerous sporting activity that an individual could contemplate. So why would somebody like Alex do that? And what does it teach us, perhaps, about life? Well, what he says is this. He says, my comfort zone is like a little bubble around me, and I've pushed it in different directions, and I've made it bigger and bigger until these objectives that seem totally crazy eventually fall within the realm of what is possible. And I think we can all reflect on that when contemplating goals, which seemingly seem to be out of our reach in the first instance. We're not probably going to become rock climbers, and heaven forbid, I think that obviously free solo climbing is desperately, desperately dangerous and not to be recommended. However, perhaps we do need individuals like Alex to show us what is possible, and perhaps that's why we are fascinated with these incredible achievements which individuals such as Alex undertake. And he says this, he says that when he's climbing, when everything is a matter of life or death, and everything has to be perfect. Every move he makes on the rock face has to be well considered and choreographed in absolute detail and rehearsed and practiced. He says, when I do that for a brief moment, I feel perfect. Aristotle said this. He said that courage is described as mediating between cowardice and recklessness. And I think one of the other things I take away from watching that film Free Solo is this. There's one occasion where Alex goes to ascend El Capitan and he turns back because it didn't feel right. And he says, I've walked away from more climbs than I can count just because I sensed that things were not quite right. And I think sometimes it's really important in our own lives to trust our own sense of intuition as well, and to have the courage to listen to that voice which is within ourselves and tells us when something's not right or something's wrong. Courage isn't always having the strength to walk towards. Sometimes courage can be actually having the wisdom and the strength of character to walk away from something as well. So I think that's something just to reflect upon. So we need people like Alex, maybe to show us what's possible for all of us, to think about things such as courage. But of course, we're not all going to be free solo climbing. I believe that rather than thinking of always acting outside our comfort zone, I think that probably what we should be doing is what Alex says, which is gradually growing our comfort zones to include more and more. And I think we can translate that guidance or that sentiment into our own lives very successfully. I wanted to say a huge thank you to our musicians who gave an absolutely amazing concert, lunchtime concert, last Wednesday. I know it's going online on Facebook if it's not already there, so do please watch that. I also want to say a big thank you as well to all of those of you who contributed towards our second ever virtual open day, which happened on Saturday morning. And I think it's a really great way to showcase the school. You are wonderful ambassadors for the school, and I love it when you're able to show people around. But in this current time, the fact that you're also so adept at contributing to our online presence as well is really super. So thank you very, very much for that. Mobile phones are appearing around the site a little bit. Just to remind you that we do have in place a policy within the school that from first thing in the morning to late in the afternoon when lessons end, mobile phones should not be out and visible around the site. if a member of staff does see you with a mobile phone, then they will in all probability confiscate that phone. It will come to the reception, and then for a small donation to charity you will receive it back at the end of the day. But let's all work together to ensure we don't have phones out, that we don't have Airpods out. They will also be confiscated in much the same way during the day. And the real reason for that is because we want you to communicate to each other in person. We're all one community, and it's, if you've got AirPods in or you're lost in your mobile phone, you can't possibly be enjoying each other's company as we would want you to. Have a really super week, and until next week, enjoy everything that you're going to undertake. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Hayton and I study PE, Geography and German at GCSE.
Hi, I'm Joe Davis, I'm in Year 11 and I study Geography, History and Music at GCSE.
Today we're talking about the Young Minds charity, which helps young children who are in difficult times.
So to support this charity, on Friday, wear something yellow in addition to your school uniform and bring in £1.
Make sure to look out for the selfie spot around campus on Friday. Thank you for listening, and please remember to wear something yellow on Friday.
Good afternoon. Have you ever played the game Telephone or Whispers? The one where you pass a message down a line of people and somewhere along the way the message gets scrambled. It's never really certain where the communication has broken down, but this is what's happened. Somewhere along the way someone hasn't listened properly and this has caused a misunderstanding. And this is what I want to talk about today, that listening is important. To be able to have a conversation, we need to be able to effectively listen and hear what the other person is actually saying. Because all of us at some point have felt ignored, misunderstood, or like we're not really able to communicate how we feel. And sometimes these thoughts come from us feeling like we're not being listened to. And that can be really frustrating. Because all relationships with another human being depend on communication. Without it, these relationships can break down. Friendships can fall apart when you only talk about yourself, or something you say is taken in the wrong way. So how do we listen? Because most of the time we like to talk. Many of us like the sound of our own voice and can't wait to say something. Well, sometimes it's as simple as focusing on the other person and what they're saying. That may mean stopping what you're doing, turning off the TV, turning down your music, putting down your device. A simple act of taking out your headphones or earpods, even if they're not on, shows you care about what the other person is saying and you value their opinion. Because if what you say is important, then what the other people have to say to you is also important. Amazingly, when we listen, people actually respect us and are more friendly with us than if we don't listen. Listening shows you care. But more than that, taking the time to listen to people is important. Asking a question and actively waiting and listening to the response, rather than just being polite and nodding your head, is important to maintain relationships. I find I often ask people how they are, or I ask the boys in Pelican how their day was, and I genuinely care about the response. I want to hear about how another person is getting on. And then if I can help them, fantastic. Taking that time to listen means we all find out more about each other. We strengthen those relationships and we can hopefully make someone else feel understood and that they matter. So today, try your hardest to listen carefully, hear what people are saying and make another person feel valued. Have a wonderful afternoon, a wonderful week, and I'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Mr Newson. I'm the Director of Football here at Rossall School. Just a quick update on the football programme itself. It started really well. It started really brightly this year. We have almost 40 boys on the programme, which is wonderful, which is a big increase from last year, which is wonderful for us because it means that we can actually work more with our players, work more with our individuals to help us develop and get better. By having more, it's helping us understand strengths and weaknesses and providing us a better platform to develop all our student athletes. We've been very fortunate. We've been contacted by multiple universities in America who have a keen interest in looking at our boys when they progress from school. So that's been really good to help formulate a bit of an exit strategy and a bit of a plan for all our boys moving forward. As well as this, we've been lucky enough that we've played some really good fixtures already this year, including games against Fleetwood Town's Academy. This was a really good opportunity for our boys to play against elite players at a high level, There were some players in the Fleetwood Town team that have played international football and have even played in their first team in the Football League last year. So it was a great opportunity for our boys to be exposed to that level, but also it then provided them a platform where subsequently, following on from that, we've had 3 boys, Ollie Leggett, Joe Hunter and Matthew Fogo, who were invited along to Fleetwood Town last week to play in their academy against Blackburn Rovers. This shows that all the hard work that we're doing around developing the individual player as opposed to developing a team are really, really working well, and we're hoping that our boys are now on a journey, whether that be 3 years for the boys in year 11, or whether it be 1 year or 2 years, depending on the year they're in. They're really on a journey with us now that they can continue to develop and grow, both as people and as footballers, and hopefully in time we will get them to their next step.
Hello, my name is David Jones. I'm from Spain. I'm the football team captain. This is my second year at Rossall and on the football programme. Football programme has been great from the start of the year. It's provided us lots of great opportunities. For example, playing with the Fleetwood academies twice so far this year. The training sessions are of great quality and intensity, and we're striving to get better as the year goes on. Thank you.
The Usual Suspect by David Harsent. I am the demon of the stair. I am waiting for you here. I know you're on the way because I can smell your fear. I'm the ghoul beneath the bed. I terrify the meek. This is my home. I'm always here, but never when you peek. I'm the figure in the flame, the spectre in the smoke. Wind in the chimney is my voice, although I never spoke. I'm the monster in the cupboard, the face behind the door. The less you try to think of me, I think of you the more. And though you might imagine me as gremlin, imp, or elf, the truth is 10 times worse, because I am, of course, yourself.
Virtual open day, evensong, lunchtime concerts, football, dance, hockey. All of these things have taken place over the last few days, and that means that many of you have been very, very busy this weekend. Well done for all the fantastic playing, for the wonderful performing, and for all the various ways in which you've contributed to the life of the school this week. My assembly this week will focus very much on presentation. Now, a lot of that might seem like it's me being really picky, but it's really important that we maintain the high standards that we set for ourselves, because the way that we look and the way that we present ourselves in school, the way that we interact with each other, all make a difference to the kind of community that we are.
So without further ado, let's have a look at who has won our Headmaster's Academic and Kindness Award this week. Amongst the many nominations, 2 pupils stood out this week, and those pupils were Rachel Abdul and Mary Mausheimer. Rachel Abdul wins this week's Academic Endeavour Award. Rachel has produced an outstanding piece of independent work on the history of the atomic structure whilst working in Square House. It was very well researched and discussed the various models put forward by scientists over history and clearly noted their limitations. Mr. Hutchinson says that this project was really well researched and presented and was an absolute pleasure to read, so well done, Rachel. Mary Mausheimer, on the other hand, wins our Kindness Award for the week. Mary is always effusively positive. She is kind, thoughtful, and hugely enthusiastic in all lessons. She has been involved in so many aspects of life outside of the classroom, and you will have seen that she was in videos both this week and last week in terms of organisations and charities in order to make sure that we support those less fortunate than ourselves. And in so doing, I believe that Mary is an outstanding example of what a Rossallian should be. Mary, congratulations. Over a number of weeks, we've talked about what it means to be a pupil at Rossall. We've talked about Rossall etiquette, and we've talked about that you represent Rossall in every single thing that you do, whether you're wearing the school uniform or not. Today, I want to mention two things. One is what you look like in your uniform and what the key rules are that we need you to be aware of. And secondly, I want to also talk about rewards. So the first things, in terms of uniform and in terms of appearance, there are key things that we need you to follow. The first of them is how your hair looks. Now, this is really very simple. We need your hair to be tidy. For boys, that means that the hair should be above the collar line. And for girls, up to year 11, it means that the hair should be tied up. Jewellery. We really don't want to see any jewellery on display at all. The only item of jewellery which is allowed is a single pair of stud earrings up to year 11 for girls. Nothing else. No rings, no bangles, no friendship bracelets, no stud earrings for boys. So please make sure that that's the case, as if we see jewellery which is inappropriate, teachers have been asked to keep a hold of it until the end of the school day for you. Skirts. It's become a habit of the girls at school to roll up the skirts around their waist. I'm not sure what the purpose is behind this, except that I assume it's to make it look shorter. There is absolutely no need for your skirt to be any shorter than knee length, and so I would ask all girls to make sure that their skirts are absolutely the length that they need to be and that they've been designed to be. If we have to go down the route of asking a huge number of girls to roll down their skirts continuously, it's a waste of our time and is a waste of your time, and we might end up in a situation where we have to reconsider what the uniform is. Therefore, girls, in terms of wearing skirts, remember that you're representing every single girl in the school, and that as such you need to wear it the way it was designed to be worn. As an aside, it's worthwhile saying that for sixth form, the uniform rules are very clear, and I know that Mr. Prest and Mrs. Williams have already been through the details. Much about jewellery stays the same, but sixth form have the privilege of choosing the suits that they wear. Girls, please remember that if you're wearing skirts, the same rule applies to you as it does to the girls in the younger years. Skirts should be such a length as to be at the knee, and as such should not be the type that ride up and you have to keep pulling down. Finally, mobile phones and Airpods. We have asked, and Mr. Quartermain has already said earlier in the assembly, that we do not want to see mobile phones out. We do not want to see Airpods on display. I understand, and we understand that sometimes you need to check your timetable, but you can do that on your iPad or before you set off from wherever it is that you're going. As you're walking around school, it is absolutely the courteous thing to do to not be on your phone, to not have AirPods in your ears. And that's all I'm going to say about that. On a more positive note, the thing that I want to make you aware of is that part of our behaviour policy has been to introduce the idea of positive rewards. Please look out for positive affirmation from your teachers, which will now be going onto our school database called iSAMS. The purpose of this is to celebrate the various ways in which you, as individuals, are meeting the standards of Rossall etiquette. So that's in terms of behaviour, in terms of how you interact with others, in terms of the hard work that you put in every single lesson. I wish you a wonderful week.
The beautiful sea beach with 3 miles of sand running alongside the school has always been a great attraction. Amazing fiery red sunsets, glistening reflections in the puddles after the tide has gone out, the crashing of tremendous waves during high tides, and just watching fishermen and prawners trying to make a living. Over the years, the sea and sand have kept many secrets and have been the centre of many tales told. In 1588, there was a tremendous storm where a small village towards Blackpool was destroyed, together with much of the Spanish Armada, sailing in the Irish Sea. A galleon became beached high at Rossall Point, and the local men rushed out to surround the galleon, threatening it with crude weapons and shouting. The Spaniards in defence replied with a volley of shot, and a battle ensued. It was only when the winds and rising tide surrounded the stranded galleon was it able to lift the keel and sail away. During the battle, 2 of the cannonballs penetrated the walls of Rossall Hall, which was to become the headmaster's house. According to tradition, the big round stones at the entrance of the hall were identical to those cannonballs. In 1929, a Belgian trawler sent distress signals which were seen clearly in school during a gale of 80-mile-an-hour winds, sleet and lightning. The trawler was grounded and the crew were hanging on for sheer life. Naturally, there was great curiosity in school and people came out to help. One of the teachers was able to speak Flemish and helped to communicate by megaphone with the crew. 9 men were rescued and a young deckhand who was badly injured was brought into the medical centre to be treated and resuscitated. If you look closely at the photograph, you'll see some of the Rossall boys looking at the wreckage. Even today, there's an attraction for us all to walk up to the sea wall, whether it's to be with our friends to have fun, or just appreciate the peace and calm giving us time to think and wonder. When you look across the sands to the skyline, just imagine the galleons sailing out at sea.
Frank Fletcher, who was a scholar back in 1882, Crescent House, wrote in his memoirs, "Rossallians carry with them memories of noble waves breaking on the beach and filling the square with foam, of brilliant sunsets streaming in through the windows that looked out onto the sea, of clean, fresh air and cloudless skies, of occasional views of the Lakeland Hills across the head of Morecambe Bay, of winter evenings when the sea wind battered against the chapel windows, while within the chapel we sang the hymn for those in peril on the sea." I think those sentiments hold very dear today with many of our Rossallians.
On Wednesday, our football programme played against the Stephen Gerrard Academy. Some excellent football was played by both of our teams, with the first team scoring a comfortable victory. Our second team, made up of mainly Year 11s, dominated possession but came unstuck against a physically stronger under-18 side. An honourable mention to footballers Ollie Leggett, Joe Hunter and Matthew Fogo, who played for Fleetwood Town on Tuesday against Blackburn.
In goal this week, 3 of our students took part in the HMC National Final match play, proceeding to the next round after knocking out Birkenhead. Well done to those involved. In other news, a special mention to golf student Sebastian Cave, who finished in exceptional 16th place at the North of England Amateur. Well done, Seb.
If you are in Year 7 and if you have an interest in poetry, then you are invited to attend the Ferrell Society's Poetry Please.
The event will take place on the 15th of October via Zoom, where you will be given the opportunity to share and present a poem of your choice. The theme for Poetry Please will be all things to do with nature, and there will be many prizes to be won.
All participants will be judged on their readings, including the following categories: Best Selection, Best Reading, Best Dressed, and Best Performance. The prizes will be revealed upon entry.
All members of Year 7 are invited to the Ferrell Society's Poetry Please event via Zoom on the 15th of October.
We hope to see you at the Ferrell Society's Poetry Please.